Hello, my name is Josh Beulah, and I'm the IT Director for the Center for Fine Arts Education. Today we're going to prepare you for your online session as part of the virtual conference. If you haven't already, I encourage you to read through the presenter tips on the website. In addition to general tips about structuring your session, there are technology tips at the bottom as well. I'm not going to cover everything there today, but I do want to bring your attention to four main things that will help prevent problems with the technology and with Zoom, and then we'll jump into a quick demonstration. Number one, close all other programs on your computer. Zoom can be a processor hog, especially if you're in gallery view with a lot of videos open. If you have Chrome or Safari open with a bunch of tabs, Word, PowerPoint, Adobe, those are all going to use up your computer's memory and processor power. So if you can close everything except Zoom and PowerPoint, that will make your video and screen sharing much smoother and help avoid your computer from freezing up. Number two, make sure you have a good internet connection. If possible, connect an Ethernet cable from your computer to a LAN port on the back of your router. If that's not possible, Wi-Fi should be fine, but get as close to the router as possible. Your internet service provider is also important as well. If you have cable, DSL, or fiber, you should be fine. Or if you're presenting from your school or workplace, that should be fine as well. However, please avoid using a cellular hotspot or the tethering or personal hotspot on your phone or any public Wi-Fi in a public space. They usually don't have the bandwidth necessary for a smooth, high-quality presentation. Number three, make your video look great. We want you to look your best on camera, so please make sure there are sources of light in front of you, maybe even more than one to avoid shadows. For example, maybe a window on one side of you and then add a lamp to your other side. Avoid lights or windows behind you because most cameras adjust automatically for brightness, so if there's a bright light source such as a window behind you, the camera will darken the entire picture to compensate, which will make your face look like just a shadow. We also recommend that you raise your camera to eye level. This improves the sense of eye contact by letting us see more of your face rather than your chin or up your nose. So if you're using your laptop, maybe set it on a few books or something just to get that better camera angle. Pay attention to your background as well. I'm not a fan of virtual backgrounds because the edges around your face are usually weird and they take up computer processing power, but feel free to use them if you want to. But regardless of whether your background is real or virtual, try to keep it simple and professional to avoid distractions. Number four, practice, practice, practice. You should already have the Zoom software installed on your computer, but if not, you can download it from zoom.us. And if you don't already have a Zoom account, you can sign up for one for free. And then Zoom lets you practice and record your practice sessions even if you're only presenting to yourself. Just start a meeting, share your screen, and start recording to your computer. You can then watch these recorded practice sessions to make sure that you look and sound great and to see if there's anything you need to improve upon. So now let's talk about your presentation. You will join your session through the conference schedule just like everyone else, so click the Join Webcast button. But it will recognize that you are the presenter for this session, and it gives you this special button that lets you start the meeting as a Zoom host. You won't need any special Zoom link or any special Zoom login information. It's all encoded into that button. Also, it lets you do this 15 minutes early before your session is supposed to start, so you can go ahead and test everything and get your presentation set up and ready 15 minutes early. It will not start letting in attendees to your session until 1 minute before your session is scheduled to start. So when you click that button, it will open a Zoom tab and it will ask your permission to start Zoom. And when you click OK, Zoom starts and you have full control of the meeting as a host or a co-host. If for some reason you get a notification saying that you are about to end another meeting in progress, it just means that another presenter has gone over their allotted time. So go ahead and just click OK so you can start your meeting. The first thing I recommend you do is change some security settings. Do not allow participants to unmute themselves, especially if you have a lot of attendees. Then I would open the Participants tab so you can see the list of everyone who has joined, and under the More button, you can mute participants upon entry. I'm going to check the keep the checkbox unchecked that allows them to unmute themselves, and then click Continue. If you forget to do this and people start talking, there is this Mute All button that will allow you to mute everyone all at once. And of course, if it's a small crowd or if you want to open it up for discussion or questions after your initial presentation, you can go back to either the More button or the Security button and allow participants to unmute themselves again. You do not want to lock the meeting because that will prevent anyone from coming in late. And don't enable the waiting room because we are using an automated waiting room as part of the online schedule that won't let them even access the link until a minute before you're ready to start. Now, some of you will be using a Zoom webinar instead of presenting in a regular Zoom meeting, so you may not see these security options, but they are all set for you automatically. Notice that I'm not going into gallery view because it uses up the processor too much, but you can see all your participants in this participants panel. If they use the feedback icons to raise their hand or clap and so forth, you'll see all that here. We recommend that you also open the chat window so you can see if anyone has a question or comment in the chat that you want to share or answer during your presentation. Now let's talk about sharing your screen or sharing a PowerPoint presentation. I recommend you start your presentation in PowerPoint first so that it's in full screen presentation mode before you even start your session. That way it's ready to share as soon as you start or whenever you're ready. However, since that hides the Zoom window, you'll need to use Alt-Tab or Command-Tab to switch back to Zoom. On a Windows PC, hold down Alt and press Tab, or on a Mac, hold down Command and press Tab. And then keep pressing Tab until the main Zoom window is selected. When you're ready to start showing your PowerPoint, click the Share Screen button. You may see several different options depending on your computer. And if you have multiple monitors, they will both show up, so you'll need to click the screen with your presentation. If your presentation has video or audio clips, be sure to check the checkbox for Share Computer Sound so that everyone will be able to hear it. This other checkbox, Optimize Screen Sharing for Video Clip, it lowers the resolution so videos play more smoothly, but it makes everything blurry. So I don't recommend using that unless you're playing a full screen video that is not part of a PowerPoint or other demonstration. Click the Share button and you are ready to present. Zoom puts this border around your screen to alert you what everyone can see. You have a Zoom toolbar at the top when you hover your mouse up there. And if you then hover over More, you can open the chat window on top of your presentation. Only you can see this chat window, so it's a great way to keep an eye on the chat for questions while everyone else is seeing your full presentation window. You can move it around wherever you want and make it bigger or smaller, and it will only be seen by you. Also in the More menu, you'll see you can turn on Share Computer Sound just in case you forgot to check that checkbox when you first started screen sharing. So feel free to use that if you start playing a video and people start saying in the chat that they can't hear anything. There are a lot of other cool toys in this hover menu as well. Pause Share does exactly that. It pauses the current view for everyone, and that allows you to do something else on your computer, or if you need to jump and try to find another PowerPoint slide or jump to something else, you can just click on pause, do whatever you need to do, and then nobody can see any of that. They'll just see the slide that you were on while you paused. And then when you're ready to resume, just click on Resume Share, and you're back to sharing your live screen. Annotate gives you various options similar to a whiteboard. You can draw lines or circles or shapes or whatever. Clear all drawings to reset. The spotlight allows you to highlight your mouse to make it easier for the audience to see what you are pointing to with your mouse, or the spotlight arrow lets you just point to things by clicking, and then that arrow appears wherever you clicked. You can just move that arrow around by clicking on other parts of the screen to focus everyone's attention on whatever you're talking about. Feel free to play around with the other annotation tools, but the rest are more useful for collaborative meetings rather than presenting to an audience. Again, under the trash can, we'll clear all drawings to reset. And the red circle X closes the annotation tools. New Share lets you switch from sharing your screen to sharing something else. It's the same window that comes up when you clicked Share Screen before, but just without stopping Share first. So if you wanted to jump from your PowerPoint directly into a USB document camera, for example, you could just click the New Share button and then click Content from Second Camera, and then that document camera becomes the main presentation. If the wrong camera comes up for some reason, you have this Switch Camera button. The iPhone iPad option is kind of cool as well. If you want to use your iPhone as a document camera, it needs to be connected through USB cable or on the same Wi-Fi network. If using Wi-Fi, it gives you instructions on what to do on your iPhone, and then you'll be sharing your iPhone screen. If you do want to do this, I would recommend that you practice and test it out right before your presentation. Whenever you're done with your presentation, just click Stop Share to go back to just the videos. Then feel free to open the chat back up to take questions, or go back to the participants window and allow participants to unmute themselves to take questions or discussions if you want to. Keep an eye on the time. We only have a certain number of allocated Zoom accounts, and each account can only have one meeting at a time. So if you go past your allotted time, the next presenter on the account that you happen to be using will cut your meeting off when they try to start their Zoom meeting for their session. And when you're all done completely with the session, you can just click on this end button and end meeting for all. I mentioned earlier that you should record your practice sessions, so now I'm going to explain how to do that. But recording is not just for practice. If you have been asked to pre-record an on-demand session, or if you would rather pre-record your entire session, or pre-record a lecture-style introduction to your workshop to play before you transition into a hands-on demo or a question and answer session, you can use Zoom to record that portion of your session and then play it back while screen sharing during your actual presentation. So to prepare for recording your session, again, you'll want to go ahead and get your PowerPoint started and share your full screen. Go ahead and turn on your camera because the recording will include the video from your webcam next to your PowerPoint presentation or whatever you're sharing from your screen. Then hover over the top pull-down menu, hover over the More button and click Record on this computer. It immediately starts recording, so jump right into your presentation. And when you're finished, you can either go back and hover over the menu to click Stop Record, or you can just end the meeting. Zoom will start rendering your files, and then the zoom_0.mp4 file is the video of your session. Feel free to rename that file to something more memorable. Then, at the conference, when you're ready to present, go ahead and open the video, but keep it on pause. Put it into full screen, and then share your screen with the Share Computer Audio checkbox checked. You may also want to go ahead and turn off your camera since your video will be appearing with your pre-recording. When it's time for your presentation to start, all you'll need to do is click play, and again, it's a good idea to go ahead and open up the chat window so you can read and respond to chat messages while your video is playing. When your video is done, just click Stop Share, and if you want to start engaging with the audience live, go ahead and turn on your camera. Allow participants to unmute themselves and then invite them to turn on their microphone to ask any questions.